Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, my first guest has developed an AI-based solution for removing the jobs that people hate to do in the workplace. So John Curry from SmartX Assistant is surely onto a winner. John, you might start the interview by providing us with an insight into your own background.
Hi, good morning, Karl. Glad to be here. So I came from civil service a good few years ago, went private sector, got into data science about 15 years ago. It was the up-and-coming field then. Found myself in Singapore at one stage, working for a very large telco. And from there, I moved into managing products and creating kind of AI-based products. So when I came back to Ireland about 6 or 7 years ago now, I set up Last Mile AI, so it's a consultancy. And the idea there is that all this AI is sitting on the shelf, really powerful stuff, but it just needs a little bit of an extra push to kind of, snap it all together and turn it into products that businesses can actually get use out of. So we've been doing that for the last kind of 7 years. And then we started to kind of realize, well, do you know what? I think we can actually create products ourselves as well in this space. And that would allow us to reach, a much larger scale in terms of our solutions.
So when you were operating Last Mile, what were you hearing from your clients that then prompted you to actually set up SmartX Assistant?
Yeah, so we were talking to especially kind of smaller professionals, firms like, say, mortgage brokers, insurance, advisory, things like that in the financial services sector. Firms with, pretty high revenue and profit, but, small enough that they're quite agile and really into finding solutions and making fast decisions. But we found that there wasn't really a lot of software on the market for those guys. A lot of the software was really kind of aimed at much larger enterprises, the large banks, kind of a 7-figure kind of licensing deals and things like that. So what we proposed to one of the mortgage brokers was using something called RPA, robotic process automation, to try and streamline some of the things they were doing. But what they actually came back to us with was, well, do you know what? The real problem we have is validating customer information. So lots and lots of little things that they were spending a huge amount of time, analyzing people's pay slips and whatnot. So after, a good bit of consultation and just really understanding those business processes in depth, we came up with the idea for our solution.
So how does your software actually work?
So, what we did is we identified the whole flow of a mortgage application. So, there could be 20 or 25 kind of cognitive tasks there. So for things like, assembling pay slips, in a sequence and making sure there's no gaps and, changes of employer and all that kind of stuff will be one little task. So we identified all the tasks that could be solved using specific AI models, like entity extraction, using algorithms like deep learning. And we realized quite quickly that we could apply a lot of the latest AI models and train them on this data and get them up to really, really high accuracy.
In terms of productivity then, what impact does it have on mortgage brokers?
So we found mortgage brokers are spending about a half a day on every mortgage application, just on this kind of information munging. So they're doing things like, organizing, categorizing documents, scouring them, rekeying information, looking for omissions, making some calculations out of people's financials, out of bank statements. Typically half a day there, and we can get that down to a few minutes. So basically saving half a day, per application, per mortgage broker. And so that might be 3 or 4 days a month, depending on how busy that broker is. And on a kind of the wider scale, we reckon that's costing the industry in UK and Ireland alone about €250 million year over year, like just for this set of tasks.
And I believe that you've been out already with a few dozen mortgage brokers to demo the system to them. What's the feedback?
So the feedback was actually really interesting. So when we went out, we kind of thought that we had to have something very, very shiny, very kind of enterprise looking. What we found was that people didn't really care about that because the pain points were so clear. And what they really wanted was just to solve those issues with some kind of simple software that might do something complex under the hood. So when we showed them demos like wireframes, how they click through and perform these tasks, the reaction really was just, can we have that software straight away, please? Everyone pretty much signed up. Now, obviously, it's not always that easy, but I think that was through a lot of due diligence with the first couple of brokers that we kind of just had a really good sense of what the pain points are.
And of course, there's already a number of CRM systems operating in this particular market. Is there an opportunity for you to integrate your system with theirs?
Yeah, there is very much so. So we're already starting to talk to various potential channel partners in CRM and kind of similar, systems for the medium and small enterprises. So yeah, there could be a lot of synergies there. We've designed our product so that it is very amenable to plug into various solutions. So that could be a nice route to market for us, especially into UK and other markets.
And apart from mortgage brokers, what other sectors will benefit from this software?
Yeah, so we reckon it's a problem that it has a lot of different disguises. So, it could be a solicitor or an asset manager looking through dense conveyance documents, around a property, for example. It's a very, very similar thing. It's getting that data, up through the different layers of information and decision support quickly without having to pour down into the detail. So asset managers. We're also looking at financial instrument traders, because again, the contracts for financial instruments can be very dense, and obviously things move very fast in that area. So you want a system that can analyze those contracts and make sure they're compliant and that everything is good to go, to make those sales. We're also looking at insurance, and we're looking at several other verticals within financial services and beyond.
You're taking part in the Enterprise Ireland New Frontiers programme. How has that benefited both yourself and the business?
So it was really fantastic. I mean, I went in as a kind of, I guess, was a mid-career entrepreneur, and I kind of thought I knew it all in some aspects. But I'd been consulting, and I'd been around a few different countries. But what was great was that they're very much product focused, and I think that is a mindset shift for anyone going from consultancy or from being an employee into product. There's a lot to think about there, just to make sure that you're going to get that product market fit, that you're really customer driven, that you're iterating fast. So all those key points were really kind of drummed into us over the 6-month phase in New Frontiers. So in a way, it was like a mini kind of MBA. But I think even better than that, because it was so tailored to your own kind of business idea as a participant, it's doubly valuable. So you get to really apply that, apply all those learnings to your product, improve it, pivot if you have to during the period. You also get a lot of great feedback. So there's a review every couple of months by really senior people in the field who can give you feedback that can be really quite challenging and can knock you a little bit. But as you reflect, you kind of realize, well, wait a second, this is the stuff I'm going to be hearing when I go out to investors and customers in a few months' time. So, it's really allowing you to kind of really strengthen that business case.
Are you using Ireland as a test bed before you go global with this business?
Yeah, very much so. So the Irish market is just right for us. We can get in the door or get in the doors. We can get that feedback. We can work very, very closely with customers and just make our product as customer-centric as possible. And then, given the scale, we'll look to UK, Singapore, and USA are the kind of the bigger markets that we're targeting at the moment. So having consulted in Singapore over the few years, there's some potential channel partners there, some potential investors and customers. And we know the culture there, and it's a great country in terms of adopting tech very quickly. As well. So, the turnaround for decisions and getting contracts signed can be very quick. So very suitable for a startup like ourselves trying to get off the ground. And then, of course, the UK and US markets, the two main English language markets are very much on our horizons.
And of course, being an AI company, it would be remiss of me not to discuss Chat GPT with you. What are your thoughts on that, and how are you utilising it within your own business?
Yeah, it's really kind of thrown a grenade into the area, and it's very interesting. So we're looking at these ChatGPT-like models, these LLMs or large language models, for lots of different tasks within the SmartX portfolio. So things like generating letters, based on client information, things like that. So we're looking at it very, very closely at the moment. And there's a few hurdles to be crossed. So one thing is that they tend to be, because it's so difficult to train these models, you tend to send your data to a cloud provider like OpenAI, which is not always the right thing to do, especially with personally identified information that you'll be dealing with. And the other part of it as well is that you want to keep control, over those models and how they're trained, and just kind of build up that domain applicability. Now, so we are seeing developments in the LLM space that would allow us to probably host our own models and tailor them to our purposes. So we reckon we're very well positioned for that. It's not quite there; it's still bleeding edge, but I think within even a couple of months, Karl, it should be cutting edge, and we're kind of very well placed to adapt those models and tailor them for the financial services domain in Ireland and beyond.
And John, beyond SmartX Assistant, if you were to go out there tomorrow and to start a new business based on ChatGPT, what would it be?
I think it could be something like a career advisor or study advisor, certainly when I was kind of, say, 16, 18, 20, I think I would have liked to have some kind of an advisor that I could actually just kind of go through all the different options that are available to me in terms of study and employment and everything else, and just kind of iterate through that decision, and brainstorm that decision. So I think, that kind of an advisor, and just kind of more broadly, like advisors for very kind of specific areas of one's life, I think would be very interesting. Of course, we'd have to solve quite a bit in terms of safeguarding the data in those situations as well, because obviously, you're going to get into some very personal stuff. But I think those could be very, very interesting.
And John, as you look over the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think is going to be your greatest challenge in scaling SmartX Assistant globally?
I think it will be something like just finding the right kind of spot in the ecosystem. So the ecosystem in AI is developing so fast. At the moment, what we have in enterprise software is we have an awful lot of middleware. So we have, companies that specialize only, say, in, maybe taking data from hotel websites and, consolidating into a report and kind of passing it to another company that does that might do the CRM and everything else. So at the moment, it's very intermediated, and I have the feeling that financial services and AI are going to become very disintermediated. So I think the key for us will be to see, well, where do we sit in relation to the customer? Are we going to be talking to consumers directly? Is it going to be small businesses directly? Or where are we exactly in that value chain? And that's something that we're thinking about very, very carefully.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was John Curry from SmartX Assistant, and we wish John and the team every success with their business.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
South